school's a waste of time.
I was a little menace at times, and I didn't used to get on with the teachers very much.
I was nearly permanently kicked out.
Children with special needs can find a full GCSE curriculum challenging. So how can work-based learning help them to succeed at school?
Before they get to the point where they feel education has let them down and they've failed at learning, we're actually offering them an opportunity to engage in a different type of learning programme.
At the base of the Humber Bridge in North Lincolnshire, Baysgarth School has taken a bold move to re-engage SEN and EBD pupils.
At Baysgarth we had a curriculum, and it was a one-size-fits-all curriculum, and what we found was we got a lot of pupils who were becoming disengaged, being very difficult, poor attenders, poor behaviour, and we wanted to create a curriculum that was a little bit more suited to their needs.
We actually asked them what they really wanted, and they said that they didn't want to be stuck in a classroom behind a desk. They didn't like it. We came up with a package that the students actually had a placement. That evolved into them having a day's placement instead of tasters, and then eventually we set up the work-based learning unit.
Run by two members of staff, Leslie Stockdale and Wendy Wells, the unit provides pupils with special educational needs an alternative to the mainstream curriculum, with a combination of separate classes, support in their core subjects and work-based learning.
The school year timetable is geared round work-based learning, so that the maths, English and science are taken up in the 3 days that they're actually in the mainstream. Then they have 2 full days in the work-based learning.
One of those days is spent in work placements. Having forged a relationship with a local agricultural college, a group of boys spends their time in the fields.
The work that the students do here is primarily land-based. They do, as you've seen, they work with the livestock, and we do work with the crops. We do grow a few crops, so the lads get a chance to plough and cultivate the land and sow crops, which are harvested and fed to the livestock.
With Nigel Reed, the pupils have a chance to experience life as a working farmer.
So before we feed, we just have to check that there's no use of land, because if we feed them, they're going to be more interested in food than lambs, aren't they? Yeah, just do what you want. Just, as you're feeding them, just observe the ewes. Jack, just pour the beet out of a corner and work slowly along the trough, that's it.
Not every child wants to get 10 GCSE C to A star grade, or can get that. Some students have an ability to work better with the hands, produce things, rather than put things down on paper. So this gives the student the opportunity to do that.
Right, you need to give them a bit more than that, Daniel. Yeah.
A willing teacher is crucial to the success of the placements.
When you've got your jobs done, lads, we're just going to treat this lamb's eye. Now, if you look at its eyelid, it's got what's called a lazy eyelid. It's called entropoid.
Yeah.
And it's the muscle. Muscle weakens. And it's just an interned eyelid. And if you leave it long enough, it will blind the lamb.
All right.
Finding the placements wasn't an easy task.
When I first started out, I did an awful lot of walking around Barton, knocking on doors, because I found if I telephoned, people sort of said, no, I'm sorry. But if I actually went and said, I'm such and such, I know such and such who lives in the village, or my husband knows you, and do you think you could give one of my students a placement? You were more likely to get one.
That's it. It's all right, little fella. Steady down.
Yeah, I learn better this way. At school, you're inside and you're not working hands-on with animals and stuff, not finding out what diseases and how to cure them, and you learn a lot more than you do in school.
For some of the boys, there's been the opportunity to learn how to drive. Michael's recently passed his tractor test.
It's a lot easier doing like more practical stuff and that, like a bit like DT and that. All the different stuff you used to do and that. I used to learn different ways. The teacher have different ways and that. They'll teach you, but I never used to like doing that. I used to like make my own way and learn from my mistakes and that.
Michael's great. I really like Michael. He is quite resistant to certain aspects of school, such as learning.
He's a very friendly boy, but he's very easily distracted and distracts others.
He used to mess around and that, just mess around with other lads and that. Get a few fights. That's about it, really. And then I come on to this and I've like, matured a lot more in that.
In fact,
I think that he's found that he's actually doing something in the work-based learning unit that he enjoys doing. He can see the relevance of it for him. He knows what he wants to do in life, and it's certainly not going and learning French irregular verbs.
He was difficult when he first came in, but he's settled down and he absolutely loves his placement. He's one of the students that gives 150% to his placement. If he could go 5 days a week, he would be there 5 days a week.
In fact, last year Michael worked Christmas Day, Boxing Day and New Year's Day of his own volition. Not bad for a student who was close to permanent exclusion.
I'm not looking for farmers. That's not what I'm trying to train. Well, I'm trying to make them citizens, that they can go out into the wider world and potentially be more employable by being able to work as a team and do various skills and work with other people and be under a work ethic. Right, let's stop it now. As the auger comes up, move the soil away, because otherwise what will happen to it if you don't? And then defeat the object of doing the...
Work on the placements often crosses over into the students' core subjects.
If you say, right, there's 20 sheep there and they need so much feed, how many bags are we going to need? That's the maths, they've got it worked, you know.
What does spirit level tell us? It's way off. Oh, it's not, you're nearly there, aren't you? Look, try and bring in elementary key skills in what we do. Because if you ask these lads what 3 sevens were, they would probably have to think about it. But if you can put it into a concept whereby it's something interesting, i.e. speed that they're driving a tractor over the ground, or how much corn we feed to the cattle, or how many tons of sugar beet we're going to use, or bales of straw, they can use the maths, they can understand then what maths is all about. When they're in a school and they're doing fractions and long division, it's meaningless. But tell them, try and learn them a little bit of basic things, then at least when they get a job, they'll know how many hours overtime they've worked.
Which ones you think are useful?
Success in their work placements has encouraged these students to re-engage with education. Michael is now working hard and enjoying GCSE science.
He now has accepted that he does need a certain level of competency in literacy and numeracy to do what he wants to do when he leaves here, and he's understood that through work-based learning involvement.
You'll get beat up by it. It'll hit you.
It could hit you, yeah. In fact, in my last lesson...
And the placements act as a good incentive to keep them working hard.
That is part of the package. You don't keep to the rules outside the classroom and make sure your work's in. The placement can and will be removed because it's a privilege, it's extra. They've got to know that one thing leads to another.
Another pupil, Sarah Jane, has taken a position in a fast food restaurant, but she's learning more than just flipping burgers.
Obviously a main part of working in any job is responsibility, being punctual and reliable, and you know something that Sarah's learned is that her punctuality and her reliability affects everybody else in the restaurant. If she doesn't turn up on time, somebody doesn't get their break, you know. So that's something that obviously she'll have learned to take with her into any future job as well.
Basically, I'm more mature now. I've grown up. It makes you feel better about yourself. It makes you feel like you can actually do something if you really put your mind to it. As before, I wasn't bothered. I was like, oh, well, I can't do this, so I'm not going to try. I've got more confidence now.
They appreciate the jobs, you know, the chance to be able to do this, the ones that we get. Because they're not going to get brilliant exam marks, they know they're not. It gives them a chance to get something and feel proud of that.
I think it's because you're just with different people all the time. It's always different. It's not like school at all.
Because I think some of these kids have been casualties of our curriculum that bounds on at a fantastic rate, and they got lost many years ago.
Back in the mainstream, the change in Sarah Jane's attitude has given her more motivation.
So if you look in the book as well, it's there.
I can do maths, but like when I was going through that phase where I wouldn't behave or anything, I just couldn't be bothered and I wouldn't do it at all. Before I wouldn't have had any GCSE, so I wouldn't be able to get a job, I wouldn't have been able to go to sixth form or anything. And now it's like I can go to sixth form, I can get a decent job.
These kids find that the GCSE experience quite difficult, quite challenging, so that their access to the higher grades are very limited. I think what it does do to us is the attendance is improved. Their motivation to learn is improved. Their behaviour and conduct around the school is much improved.
Over the last couple of days...
Alongside placements and mainstream lessons, the students spend time in the unit working towards personal and social skills certificates, Asdan's bronze and silver awards.
It actually gives the opportunity for young people to gain a recognised qualification which does actually count and can in some cases get them as high as equivalent grade C. So it's a really good opportunity for young people who perhaps would have achieved very low grades in a traditional GCSE programme to get much better grades in a programme which better suits their learning style.
So aside from the placements themselves, what is needed to make a programme like this work?
The first thing you need is a big room and a carpet. You need a carpet. No cold floors, it's got to be warm. If you are lucky enough and you've got that room and you can decorate it as you want and you can lay it out as you want and have it informal, and then you tell the kids that's their room, it's their space, they feel that it's part of them and it's their sanctuary. So you're likely to get success because it's theirs.
Wendy and Leslie really, really do run a tight ship, but they don't do it in a very authoritarian manner.
It's got to be teamwork. You've got to have a good team in there. If you haven't got that, it'll fail. And you've got to have... Everybody's got to be in the same mind as well. It's no good having somebody who rules by a rod of iron and somebody who's a great big softie. It doesn't work. I think we're mentors, I think we're motherly figures, I think we're advisors, I think we're a total package, and I think they see us as something like, extra. We're not just a teacher stood at the front of the classroom. We do teach, but we advise and other bits and pieces as well, and we're always there for them. You cannot carry something on. If they've been bad and done something terrible the day before, they come in and look at you and they're waiting for you to make a response about it. If we have something to say, it's finished. It's never mentioned again. It doesn't matter. That was yesterday. We've got a new day today. Let's have another go at it.
Remember when you're bedding these beasts, what you're looking for?
If anything's lost its appetite.
That's right. A lack of appetite means what?
Illness.
Potential illness, that's right. Not only do we nurture the crops and the livestock that we have, when we see the livestock grow, the lambs and the calves grow, we also see these young lads grow into young adolescents, into young men.
Because I used to be like always on the streets and at night time and that. Now I'm not. I've set my life out on that.
It's made such a big change in him. I can see him going a long way now. He's gone in the right direction.
If these young people had not been offered this opportunity, the wider community would be seeing probably more young people excluded from school, both on a temporary and full-time basis.
I don't reckon I'd have ended up with any GCSEs or anything, but now I reckon I'll get good GCSEs because I've actually knuckled down and got on with the work.
There are still challenges, there's still a long way to go, it's early days, but it's been a real success, and I really genuinely feel there are a lot of young people that have been turned around, that have re-engaged with learning, that have better life chances, better life opportunities because of this programme.